Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's great to see so many people fired up about VR here at 9 a.m. Thanks for being here. Yeah. I'm Clay Bavor. I lead the VR team at Google. I'm also pretty fired up about VR. Pro tip for the people in the back. I saw some pretty intense tans, sunburns yesterday. The sun comes in this way, so people on the border right there, you might want to come down unless, you want a great tan. So anyway, so hopefully you caught the keynote yesterday about daydream. And that's what today's about. We're going to go a lot deeper on all the components of it. But before we do that, I wanted to talk just briefly about VR and why it's important to us. And if I can just do a quick poll, how many people have been in a VR system where you've had that moment of like, oh my God, I'm there, I'm somewhere else? I love this. This is like the highest ratio of any talk I've given, so that's great. So you know what this is about. You know what I'm talking about. Now, for people who haven't, for folks on the live stream, there's no substitute for actually being in one of these demo rooms in one of these systems. But I'm going to walk you through an experience that we share with a lot of people who are seeing VR for the first time in one of our labs. And it starts here, poolside. And it's kind of this abstract pool. There's like a white grid for a ground. And you look around and you look to your right, and there's a diving board. And then you look up, and there's another diving board. And you know where this is going. So that diving board is 150 feet tall, 50 meters or so. And we teleport you up there, and what happens next is pretty interesting. People immediately lower their center of gravity, right? They crouch down. Some reach for a hand railing that's not actually there. And we ask people to walk to the edge and look over and step off. And it looks pretty scary even from here. I'm imagining from there it looks scarier. And most people can't step off. They can't do it. Even I have a hard time knowing that I'm just in like a room in Mountain View. And so what's happening here? Now, for those of you who are deep into VR, you know what this is about. It's presence. And presence is the VR jargon for that feeling that you're really somewhere else. And it happens when all of your different senses, sight, sound, how you're moving your body, proprioception, your vestibular system, all line up and agree, and your brain just says, yep, I'm there. And it's how VR can make you feel like you're experiencing something directly. And now, that's pretty important to us at Google. That's because we've always cared about information, organizing it, making it useful and accessible. But people think of information as like numbers and words, sentences, and so on. But experience, in many cases, is the most direct form of information. And if you think about it, there's a world of difference between reading some words and sentences, a book about Paris, and then actually visiting Paris and walking the streets yourself and actually being there. And so we think that VR has the potential to connect people with this kind of information, experiential information, in a pretty profound way. And we just think VR is amazing. We want to bring it to the world and make it for everyone. And our next step in that is daydream. And we talked about daydream yesterday. If you didn't catch the session yesterday, I just wanted to roll a quick video which we shared yesterday, really highlighting most of all the daydream controller, but it'll give you a flavor for how this all comes together. Can we roll the video? For some reason yesterday, people were especially excited about flipping pancakes in VR. So yeah, that's one of the things you'll be able to do in Daydream. So Daydream has three parts to it, and we're going to go into a number of these today in a lot more detail. The First are VR-optimized smartphones, what we call daydream-ready smartphones that have very high specifications and displays and sensors and the SoC, the processor in it. And also VR optimizations, which we've made as part of Android N at really all levels of the stack. The second part is a reference design for headsets and controllers, a really comfortable VR viewer, and a powerful but expressive controller. And then finally, apps, including Google Play, to make it really easy for users to discover, buy, find, and install VR apps. So to get us started, going one level deeper on this, I'd like to turn it over to Nathan Martz, who leads our developer products. Nathan.
Hey, thanks, Clay. I have to say, it is so exciting to be here today. You know, one of my earliest memories was the night my dad came home with our first computer. It was an Atari 800 XL, 48 kilobytes of RAM, support for upper and lowercase characters. Pretty awesome. But the thing that I loved most about it was the fact that when you put in the cartridge and turned it on, this entire world sprang into existence inside the computer. And for 5-year-old Nathan, that was as good as it got. It's amazing that today we have technology that's so advanced, it's so powerful. It doesn't just have great graphics or realistic sound effects. It can actually make you feel like you're physically present in another world. That is phenomenal. And the fact that you can do all of this on a computer small enough that it fits in your pocket is just incredible. We live in amazing times. But of course, creating presence on a smartphone is easier said than done. Of course, just hitting the 20 millisecond motion to photon latency bar, getting below that, which is the gold standard of VR, doing that on a phone is hard. But we have a more fundamental problem, I think, which is that we're all taking devices that run on batteries and trying to create experiences for them that feel just as compelling as experiences for computers that plug into your friendly neighborhood power plant. And closing that gap is fundamentally difficult. So the way we solve that with Daydream is through hardware and software designed in concert with one another. We've tried to make sure that every facet of the platform supports every other. Today, I'm going to walk you through the hardware and software that makes that possible, and the developer tools that we're going to be providing that help you take advantage of all of it. Of course, for us, the foundation of Daydream is the phone itself. And great VR experiences require great hardware. You have to have all of the right parts to ensure a high-quality, low-latency experience. So we've ensured that every Daydream phone has a low-persistence display to make sure there's no ghosting or unnecessary lag coming from the display itself. We have a high-quality SoC, which will let all of you create amazing experiences and render them at 60 frames a second. And of course, the sensors in the phone are super critical. We've made sure that they're all high-performance, high-quality, low-latency sensors so that there's a direct connection between what you do in the real world and what you see in the virtual world. Now, it's not actually a single phone for Daydream. It's a standard for phones called Daydream Ready. And the great thing about this standard is that for developers, it gives you a platform that you can feel confident about. You know that if you're building for the Daydream Ready spec, any Daydream phone will run your app well. And it gives consumers confidence that when they buy a Daydream app, it'll run well on any phone they have as long as it's Daydream Ready. Now, of course, great hardware doesn't just give you a sense of presence. It requires great software as well, which is why we've worked very closely with the Android team on Android N in its VR mode. We've worked to make sure that Android is just as good as a great OS for VR. And there's a few key components that we've made available to developers. The first of those is a low latency support for Android N. And that's the foundation for VR and for presence. We have a sustained performance mode, which manages the hardware and makes sure that when users decide to get in VR, they can stay in VR as long as they want. We have high-quality head tracking algorithms that fuse all of the data from the sensors in the phone and track your head movement so that looking around in the virtual world is just as natural as it is in the real world. But for all of this, we know that your phone is still fundamentally your phone. And you're going to get calls and you're going to get text messages. So we've made sure to port key components of the Android UI into VR, so that if you get a call or get a text message, we render it for you in stereo, and you can decide whether you want to stay in VR or leave to act on that notification. Now, if you take a Daydream phone running Android N, and you combine it with a viewer, you get an incredible sense of presence. You feel like you're somewhere else. But to a certain extent, all you can do is look around. I spent much of my career as a game developer, and I developed a deep respect for the power of interactivity. When you think about the things we learn really early in life, in infancy, the first thing we learn is how to look around, and then we learn how to use our hands. We learn how to reach out and touch the world. We learn about our heads and our hands together. In Daydream, we saw an opportunity to provide access to both heads and hands in VR. We did that through the creation of the Daydream controller. This controller is simple enough that anyone can use it, even while they're in VR and can't actually see their hands. But we've also made it expressive enough that developers can use it to create rich, amazing interactions. It's precise enough that you can use it as a laser pointer, but it's also responsive enough to use it as a swing it like a tennis racket. We've added a clickable touchpad so you can both grab and interact with virtual objects, as well as effortlessly browse a media collection. There's an app button, which is totally under the developer's control, and a home button, which we reserve for critical user interactions, like returning to the Daydream home screen. Now, we know that for developers, you need a stable platform. You need input that you can rely on. So we've designed the viewer and the phone to go together, literally, and will require every user to have the Daydream controller when they enter VR. That way, when someone launches your Daydream app, you know exactly what controller they have in their hand. And we believe that this combination of Daydream-ready phones with Daydream viewers and the controller will let developers create incredible, rich, immersive VR experiences. But that's not just a theory. We've been working with some of the best developers in the world to make that a reality. I'd like to welcome a studio to the stage who's known for continually pushing the bounds of what's possible in real-time graphics. One of the most innovative developers in the world, the creators of the amazing Unreal Engine. We've been working with them very closely on Daydream. To tell you more about that partnership, I'd like to introduce their CTO, Kim Library.
Thank you. Thanks, Nathan, and hello, Google I/O. At Epic, our mission is to give developers the very best tools for building immersive and visually impressive experiences with fantastic performance on all the platforms that we support. We've been creating VR experiences now for many years that not only push visual fidelity, but also what's possible in terms of input, interaction, characters, and gameplay mechanics. Every project that we work on extends the capabilities of Unreal Engine, and we give these back to developers on a daily basis through GitHub. Today, we're very, very proud to be part of a new chapter in VR history, and we've been eagerly preparing for the arrival of Daydream, and we're ready to give you a look at a project that we've been working on that helps realize the potential of this awesome new platform and what developers can do with it and Unreal Engine 4. Check out the video. Get to the slide.
For years, we made video games where you would sit on the other side of the glass. Now you're inside the real 3D world with a real feeling of presence.
Daydream's an exciting new mobile VR platform, and what it does is take some of the high-end VR features that we've seen in desktop VR applications and brings them to Android so that we can really up the level of fidelity in our mobile VR experiences.
What's especially exciting about Daydream is that you have complete freedom of movement. You don't have a cord tangling you up. You also have this amazing controller that lets you interact, it lets you throw things, it lets you choose where you want to move.
So when people think about mobile VR, you generally think of, look aiming or your hands locked to your head. But with the Daydream controller, it's a whole new ballgame. You can actually freely interact with the world in a natural way, and that feels really good.
The Daydream integration with Unreal, it works out of the box with all the interfaces for VR that you're already familiar with. So there's nothing new to learn. You can jump in there and start creating experiences with the tools from UE4.
At Epic, we're really excited about Daydream because, well, everyone has a phone. This really takes VR to the masses. It gives you the ability to have the same kind of experience that you have on really high-end VR systems, but now completely immersive and with this beautiful controller. And we know that Unreal Engine 4 is going to power some absolutely amazing and incredible experiences there.
So this is a sample project I made using assets from the marketplace. I'm really excited to see what you guys do with Daydream and Unreal Engine 4.
Cool. Thank you. Pretty amazing. Mobile VR is going to look that good. It's amazing. This is barely scratching the surface of what's going to be possible. The Daydream controller is a major advancement in terms of how you can craft gameplay mechanics, explore a virtual world, all on your mobile device. Natural input that's made for VR is hugely important in terms of making you believe that you've been transported to another place. And what's better is that if you incorporate motion controls, you really, really feel a high level of immersion. Daydream empowers you to create rich, deeply interactive content for mobile, and we can't wait to see the awesome content and games and demos and all the amazing things that are going to follow using Daydream and Unreal Engine 4. Thanks very much. Back to Nathan.
Hey, thanks, Kim. Thanks so much. So it's so cool to see what people are already making for Daydream. But I'm sure many of you are wondering, when can I be a Daydream developer? And I'm really proud to say that you can do that right now. For those of you who are C++ developers, and we know that many of our core VR developers love C++, we've just launched an NDK for Daydream that gives you direct low-level access to all of the features of our hardware and software platform. And we know that many of you actually like to use game engines like Unity and Unreal, and we've got you covered as well. If you're a Unity developer, we're really proud to say that there's a plugin available today, and we'll have a native integration coming out this summer. If you're an Unreal developer, you can start today, right now, using the preview version of Unreal 4.12. For all of this information about how you can be a Daydream developer, including how to build your own Daydream developer kit, check out developers.google.com/VR. And now I'm going to hand it over to Lindsay Metcalf, one of our team's lead designers, to show you the Daydream experiences and what they'll look like for our users, and how we're going to help them discover the incredible experiences that all of you will create. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks, Nathan. We've learned so much about designing good VR, and we're looking forward to sharing it with you all at I/O this week. So I'm going to walk you through Daydream Home and take a look at how we've designed the experience to really connect people to the very best VR content. Then I'm going to take you through a couple of the apps that we've designed and share some of the things that we've learned that will help you create your very own VR apps. This is Daydream Home. It comes with every Daydream-ready phone, and it's the first thing that people will see when they enter their Daydream VR experience. And for VR, crafting the right environment is so important for facilitating presence. So for Daydream Home, we really wanted to create a welcoming space that had a bit of wonder and delight inside of it, and it was somewhere that you'd want to stop and hang out for a bit before that you embarked on your next experience. Daydream Home is also your experience launcher. This is where you can see and launch your favorite apps, access Play Store to get new content, and also access system settings. But Daydream Home isn't just a list of apps. So up here on the top row, these are discovery windows. And discovery windows are where we're going to promote and curate the very best content that you create. Discovery windows we've designed with a sense of depth and parallax, so you can really get a sense of peeking into a new 3D world. You can step up to a discovery window and peer in and really get a sense for the world that it will teleport you to. And using Android deep links, you can add intent filters to these discovery windows, and they will take users directly to content inside of your apps. And the importance of this is it means that if you add a new episode or a level to your game, it means that you can promote it or them, and you don't actually have to have a new app. The users can already have the app installed on their phone. Next, let's take a look at Play Store in VR. Play Store will connect people to all of your apps, And since this is Play Store, it means we're starting with a large developer community, all of you out here. And it also means that we have a global payments and distribution infrastructure that will support things like in-app purchases from day one. We designed Store to make it easy to browse for apps and games in VR by showcasing collections of curated content, as well as making it easy to navigate by swiping through the content with the Daydream controller. Now I'm going to dive into the Google Street View app in Play Store VR and take a more detailed look. Here we've added VR-specific features to help you promote your apps, such as 360 photosphere previews that you can preview all around you instead of just flat, static screenshots. And in VR, even with the most exciting games, it's really important to make sure we're designing comfortable experiences. So we've added a motion intensity rating to help people find content that's right for them. And let's be realistic here. No matter how awesome VR is, we're still going to spend most of our time in the real world. So for the times that you're away from your Daydream viewer, our Daydream mobile app will make it really easy to discover and queue up content to try out later. So when you're on the go and you have some time to browse, but you don't have your viewer on hand, you can queue up VR videos to watch later. Or if you're at a friend's house and you hear about an incredible new VR game, you can download the app right there from your mobile phone, and the game will be there waiting for you next time you return to Daydream Home. Yesterday, we mentioned that a VR version of YouTube is coming. So now let's take a look. With stereoscopic VR video, 360 live streaming, and spatial audio, we've built an awesome foundation for truly immersive video with YouTube. You can step inside a video and have it all around you, and you can really feel like you're there, including hanging out with great white sharks, which in VR is actually pretty scary. YouTube is also a huge part of discovery for VR. I think many of us and many people have had their first experience with virtual reality here in YouTube. So we've been working with our friends at YouTube to bring this all together in a standalone VR app. I'm sharing this with you because we think YouTube is going to be one of the best ways for you to reach users and show off your apps. A lot of us are already using YouTube to share development tips and tricks. Now, with the VR video creation tools that the YouTube team is hard at work on, it will also be an incredible way for you to connect with your audience and build a community. So you'll be able to upload 360 video, trailers, gameplay, basically everything that you'd want to get people really excited about the content that you're going to create. So we've designed the Daydream experience around helping people connect to your content and continue to re-engage with it over time. But more than anything, what we're really excited about is seeing what you are all going to create. And we know that there are thousands of undiscovered things left to explore in VR. So to help, whatever we learn, from performance optimizations to user experience, we want to share that with you. So today, we're excited to introduce Daydream Labs. Daydream Labs is where we're going to experiment and share what we learn with the world. We're hard at work right here in Mountain View, and we're exploring everything from usability to hardware to new user experiences for virtual reality. And as part of this effort, we're rapid prototyping to explore what makes VR useful, fun, and also sometimes bad. So far, we've been building about 2 app experiments a week for a while. And today, we're going to start sharing these lessons with everyone. We'll give you access. First, we're going to start by giving you access to our Daydream Design Playground to get you started for developing for the Daydream controller. We'll give you access to all the different types of experiences that we've created so far. And from flipping pancakes to playing tennis, we have about 15 different ways to interact with the controller that we've thought of so far. We're also giving another talk this morning on lessons learned from Daydream Labs. This is focused on our rapid prototyping initiative. And we're going to start sharing all of this regularly on the Google VR blog. We're so excited to join the conversation, and we can't wait to see what everyone builds. I'd now like to hand this back to Clay. Thank you.
One of the prototypes you'll get to see as part of the session Lindsay mentioned is a VR watering can. We took a Vive controller and jammed it in the front of a watering can, and it turns out it's very natural to water things in VR when you have a watering can. So anyway, stay tuned for that. Maybe even better than the pancakes. So hopefully this all gives you an idea of how some of the parts of Daydream come together, from the Daydream-ready smartphones and the VR optimizations as part of N, the controller, the viewer, and some of the tools that you'll have access to as developers, like the discovery windows where you can push new experiences and so on to users as part of Daydream Home. But of course, the smartphones, the operating systems, the headset, the controller, it's not what VR is about. It's about the stuff that you can do, the experiences. And we hope you're going to create many of those. And from the beginning, from early on with Daydream, we've been very focused on making it really easy for developers. And one of the companies that's been at the forefront of VR development is Unity. And John Riccitiello, their CEO, has been one of the earliest supporters of what we're doing at Google in VR and with Daydream. And he gets what Daydream is about, and I think he sees where VR is going. And I'm delighted to have him here to say a few words. So, John, please.
So thanks, Clay. It's an incredible honor to be here. And I want to start by just making a simple observation. Google and Unity are deeply aligned on our values, in particular about the way we see virtual reality, how we see VR. Now, the mission of democratization has been at the core of Unity technologies since our founding in about 10 years ago. Democratization, what that means is putting the power of our technology in the hands of developers globally, whether they can afford or not, a very big deal. Now, Google VR under Clay is about mobile, leveraging the power of the CPU literally in billions of pockets around the world. Everyone's included. That's another type of democratization, and it's at this core value that we're fundamentally aligned. Now, from the beginning, our orientation to supporting the developer has brought us a fairly sizable audience. As you can see behind me, 5.5 million developers. That's a large number of people using a game engine or a game technology. These developers, in aggregate, produce games that are downloaded 600 to 700 times per second, 1.6 billion times per month. And if you want to think about that as an aggregate audience, it's about 500 million DAUs of games built on Unity. So this development community, all of you, is a very, very big thing. If you think about it, perhaps you'd say that democratization across 5 million developers is very serious scale. Now, Unity, as Clay has mentioned, from the beginning has been making big investments in VR. Some of you may have seen our version of the metaverse, creating VR from within VR. That certainly got a lot of people lit up on YouTube and in our community. And we're also very much aware of Google's roadmap in VR, and we intend to be and are there every step of the way. Now, as part of that, we're announcing support for Daydream. Surprise. We'll be there, we are there. It'll be native inside of Unity, very easy to use. And we're also providing support for Vulkan, which we're launching next quarter. So the core fundamental technologies that you need will be right out of the box, easy to use from Unity. But beyond that, simple announcement, we're here, we're ready, get on board. I got two things I want to talk about briefly, two ideas. The first of them really is that I think mobile is going to be driven by mobile. VR is going to be driven by mobile. We envision a world where literally billions of people have access to VR. And the fact that there's really twice as many people with mobile devices as PCs makes it obvious. It's just math. So mobile's going to drive this in the fullness of time. And again, we're there to support that. And the second idea that I want to get across is I don't believe that VR is going to be about games or simple shopping apps. I think it's literally going to extend the human experience. Imagine in a world 10 years from now where you blink and you're standing in the Taj Mahal, or you blink and you're in New York City, or you blink yet again, and instead of being in a silver tube flying, 40,000 feet, you're soaring on the wingtips of the plane and experiencing flight like you've never seen before. Or you're on stage with your favorite band, not in front like all of you are, but right there involved in a way that feels intimate and connected to the people you idolize. Or, blink again, you're in a classroom taking a physics class from your favorite professor at Caltech, or you're inside a game in a way you've never seen before. Or perhaps you're talking to your best friend, and your best friend is thousands of miles away, but they're sitting next to you in your couch in a way that feels intimate, full, and fully present. These will all happen. Imagine if you want another one. Think about that old silly movie, Inner Space or Fantastic Voyage. You'll be in that capsule traveling through the bloodstream from the brain and quite possibly through to the end of it in the bowel. It's all going to be possible, and maybe you don't want that last experience, but think about shopping online, except it'll be social, and you can try the clothes on against an avatar that matches your body's dimensions. Again, all a lot closer. Walking alongside the surface of Mars with a future astronaut, except unlike he or she is going to be probably stuck there for the rest of their lives, all you have to do is take off the HMD and you're home. So the holodeck will happen. We've all seen Star Trek. That level of presence is going to happen. You'll be closer to your nearest and dearest. My two daughters live in cities far away from me, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to connect with them in a much more, close way that makes me feel like I'm right there. And I've already experienced that in some VR chat development. That's pretty amazing. And at the core of all this is we've built the Unity engine to support 3D development and quite naturally to support Daydream. We've got 5 million developers, all of you ready to jump on board. And all of you, I hope you're dreaming about all the ideas that I laid out and many, many more. Dream them, build them. Life will never be the same. It'll be one heck of a lot better. And with that, Clay, you're back on stage.
Thank you. Thank you so much, John. As John said, we're just deeply aligned on this idea of democratizing access to VR, both the creation of it and also the consumption of it. And so it's been a natural partnership from the beginning. And I want to thank John, and I want to thank all the folks at Unity who've been so supportive of what we're doing. Now, John talked about the future, and that's where I want to end as well. And one of the ways of figuring out what's going to happen in the future is to look back on the recent past and recent progress. And so I want to look back less than a year to last year's Google I/O and a couple things we talked about there. The first was something we call expeditions. And expeditions, if you remember, is this tool for teachers that make it possible for them to take classes on field trips to anywhere, from coral reefs to Machu Picchu, all virtually. And for the last school year, Expeditions has been on the road throughout the United States and in countries around the world. And in just this school year, we've taken over 1 million students on Expeditions. The other thing we announced last year was something we called Jump. And Jump is a camera system and processing software that works in the cloud that makes the creation of VR video seamless and very high quality. And we built it because we think the world is awesome, but we didn't see a great way of capturing it immersively in VR. And we partnered with GoPro to build what's called the Odyssey. And we happen to have one here. And if you're tuning in from VR later, great to see you. Thanks for being here with us. If everyone could just wave and say hi to our... Great, thanks. Thanks for being here. So the Odyssey is rolling out to some amazing creators, and the likes of Discovery, Paramount, the New York Times. And people are saying really nice things about it, the quality, how fast it is, how seamless it is. But I think that the best summary of it was we were at the New York Times, and one of the New York Times creative leads, after seeing it all came together, just turned to one of the tech leads of Jump and said, "Can I give you a hug?" So we took that hug, thank you very much. So Jump from the beginning was built as a platform, meaning the software, which we call the Jump Assembler, the stuff that does the magic of turning 16 camera views into omnidirectional stereoscopic video. We built it to be flexible, to support multiple camera architectures. And there are two new ones we'd like to introduce today. The first is from Yi Technology. Yi is a Chinese company with a strong presence in Asia, and they're going to be using their 4K action cam to build a jump-ready camera that will be available later this year. We've got a lot of interest from another area as well, and that's from Hollywood. Hollywood is asking us for a cinema-grade jump camera. We're going to build them one with IMAX. I'm excited about that. So IMAX, of course, is known around the world for incredibly immersive capture and audio, and they're going to be bringing their decades of experience in camera design, optics, sensors, and more to jump, and we're just incredibly excited about what we're going to be able to do with them. So looking ahead, it's exciting to think about just where we'll be in the near future with Daydream. By the end of this year, there will be multiple Daydream-ready phones out on the market, and I hope your next phone is one of them. The first Daydream-ready headsets and controllers will be rolling out from the reference design. And by the way, it's not just going to be partners building from the reference design. We, Google, are also going to build a controller and a headset and make it available. And beyond that, the technology just gets better and better and better. VR is just going to get better and better and better. And one of the ways that we see it getting better is with Project Tango. Now, Tango and Daydream were part of the same team at Google. We sit in the same building. And I'll let you extrapolate from there, but we're pretty excited about what's ahead. So, over the next 2 days, there are 17 sessions covering all of this in a lot more detail. Everything from how to monetize and distribute VR apps, designing with the controller, everything you need to build for Daydream and also for Tango. And there's some great sessions on all of this. So we really hope to see you there. Thank you so much for joining us here. I really appreciate it. Thank you.